We turn our eyes to the skies not over Europe, not over the Atlantic, but over Asia, where an emerging alliance between Pakistan and China is quietly reshaping the balance of global air power. It's being called the silent shift. Silent because it hasn't yet set off alarms in mainstream headlines. But make no mistake, the military analysts inside NATO headquarters are watching these skies with growing unease. Now, let's be clear, when two nations, both strategically positioned and militarily ambitious, begin flying side by side, it's not just a training exercise, it's a statement. Pakistan, once heavily aligned with Western military doctrines, is deepening its aerial cooperation with China in ways that are setting off ripples across every major defense circle in the West. These are not just symbolic flyovers or photo ops. These are sophisticated joint operations integrating tactics, radar coordination, and combat readiness drills that mirror real-world battle scenarios. NATO knows exactly what that means. Pakistan is no longer flying solo. It's part of a new formation in the global power matrix. What's fascinating, and perhaps unsettling for Western defense experts, is how quickly this partnership has evolved. The Pakistan Air Force, with its JF-17 Thunder co-developed with China, has moved from being a regional defensive force to a modern, adaptive air fleet capable of integrating seamlessly with Chinese systems. These joint exercises are refining that synergy, sharing not just tactics but technology. It's a quiet exchange of capability that the West underestimated for years. And now, as these drills become more frequent, more complex, and more politically charged, NATO finds itself studying every flight pattern, every radar echo, and every coded message between Chinese and Pakistani pilots. You see, this is more than just an alliance of convenience. It's an alignment of strategic intent. China seeks to extend its aerial influence beyond the Pacific, and Pakistan offers both the geography and the experience to make that possible. Together, they present a model of joint air power that challenges the monopoly the West has long taken for granted. To NATO strategists, that's not just cooperation, that's competition with consequences. And while Washington debates budgets and Brussels drafts resolutions, the eastern skies are getting busier, faster, and more synchronized. The real question is, how did this happen so quietly? The answer lies in the subtlety of modern geopolitics. Pakistan didn't shout about its shift, it executed it. China didn't threaten, it invested. And while Western analysts were fixated on Russia and Europe's eastern borders, the Asian corridor was transforming into a theater of silent preparation. In that silence lies the brilliance of strategy, the kind that NATO respects, even fears, and here's the uncomfortable truth. This isn't just about jets or drills. It's about influence. Every joint flight sends a message that global military order is no longer a one-directional hierarchy led by the West. It's evolving into a multipolar competition where new players are rising fast and confidently. Pakistan and China are no longer asking for a seat at the table, they're flying over it. So, as this silent shift unfolds, NATO's analysts are right to be concerned. Because what's happening over those joint airfields isn't just a display of firepower, it's the rehearsal of a new world order. The question for the West isn't whether to notice it, it's whether it's already too late to respond. This is not noise, it's a warning. The sky, once dominated by familiar flags, is changing color. And if NATO isn't listening to the silence now, that silence may soon turn into a storm. That's the world we're living in, quiet, strategic, shifting. The question is, who's really prepared for what comes next? The strategic realignment of air power unfolding between Pakistan and China represents a profound shift in the global defense architecture, one that NATO's top brass cannot afford to overlook. For decades, Pakistan stood as a state with deep military and technological ties to the West. Trained under doctrines shaped in Washington and London, its air force modeled on Western strategic thinking, yet in the past few years that alignment has gradually tilted eastward, not with noise or spectacle, but through deliberate, calculated coordination with Beijing. This is not just a tactical adjustment. It is a redefinition of Pakistan's defense philosophy and its place in the world's security hierarchy. The Pakistan Air Force, once seen primarily as a regional defensive force reliant on Western aid and technology, is now emerging as a self-reliant, adaptive, and globally recognized partner within Asia's evolving military ecosystem. What makes this shift so significant is its subtlety. It hasn't unfolded through dramatic statements or grand alliances, but rather through sustained collaboration, joint drills, shared research, and the co-development of modern platforms like the JF-17 Thunder. This partnership is building layers of interoperability and trust that signal something much deeper than surface-level cooperation. China's strategic interest in Pakistan is clear. It offers geographical reach, operational experience, and a reliable partner situated at the intersection of South Asia, the Middle East, and the Indian Ocean. For Pakistan, the benefits are equally compelling: access to cutting-edge defense technologies, cost-effective innovation, and a partner willing to invest in its long-term defense modernization without the political conditions that often accompany Western support. To the outside world, these air exercises may seem routine. Two allied nations testing aircraft, refining tactics, exchanging intelligence. But for NATO analysts, they are indicators of an emerging framework that could reshape air dominance across Asia. The integration of Chinese and Pakistani systems, from radar synchronization to aerial command structures, demonstrates an understanding of warfare that transcends mere drills. It reflects preparation for coordinated defense postures, mutual threat response, and technological convergence. Each exercise is effectively a rehearsal for a new type of air warfare, one where Eastern allies act with the precision and coordination once exclusive to NATO forces. The strategic implications extend far beyond the region. For Western defense planners, Pakistan's gradual decoupling from Western military dependency signals a loss of influence in a region critical to global stability. The country's new defense partnerships are rebalancing its foreign policy, granting it autonomy and leverage that it lacked in previous decades. This autonomy allows Islamabad to play a more assertive role in international affairs, aligning with Beijing not as a subordinate, but as an equal stakeholder in redefining regional security norms. China, for its part, gains an invaluable partner with operational experience and geographic positioning that amplifies its reach in the Indian Ocean and the Arabian Sea, both critical corridors in the Belt and Road Initiative's long-term defense dimension. Behind this transformation lies a broader geopolitical recalibration. The old binary of East versus West no longer applies in a world where nations pursue strategic partnerships that align with their interests rather than their histories. Pakistan and China are proving that airpower cooperation can serve as a diplomatic instrument as much as a military one, challenging the Western notion of alliance building. For NATO, this shift represents both a strategic challenge and a wake-up call, a reminder that influence in modern warfare isn't maintained through presence alone, but through adaptability, foresight, and partnerships that evolve with time. The silent realignment of airpower between Pakistan and China is, therefore, not merely a regional affair. It is the manifestation of a global transition where new centers of power are taking shape quietly. Within NATO's strategic circles, there is a growing unease that is rarely discussed publicly but increasingly evident in the internal assessments of its defense analysts. This unease revolves around the evolving depth of Pakistan-China air collaboration, a partnership that seems to be quietly rewriting regional power dynamics. These joint exercises are not simply about flight formations or symbolic gestures of friendship. They are technically advanced and tactically precise operations that reveal a calculated and deliberate strategy. NATO officials understand that the coordination on display between the Pakistan Air Force and the People's Liberation Army Air Force signifies a growing interoperability that could, over time, translate into a formidable strategic advantage for both nations. Every maneuver, every synchronized radar operation, every shared mission briefing is data that NATO's defense observers are carefully dissecting, frame by frame, knowing that the lessons learned in these exercises could reshape future conflicts far beyond South Asia. What makes NATO's concern particularly sharp is the nature of this cooperation. The West has long been accustomed to a Pakistan that operated within the orbit of Western influence, utilizing American-built aircraft, adhering to NATO-inspired doctrines, and relying on the technological superiority of Western partners. But the new Pakistan-China synergy changes that narrative entirely. Chinese-built aircraft such as the JF-17 now dominate Pakistan's fleet, and with each joint drill, Chinese systems and operational philosophies are being integrated more deeply into Pakistan's defense structure. For NATO planners, this is more than a shift in equipment. It's a shift in mindset, one that could influence how Pakistan perceives future alliances, regional threats, and its overall military posture. Behind closed doors, NATO intelligence reports emphasize that these exercises have grown increasingly sophisticated. They involve not just air-to-air combat simulations but also joint surveillance operations, electronic warfare coordination, and precision strike exercises designed to mirror real battle conditions. The focus on network-centric warfare, integrating command, control, communications, and intelligence, demonstrates that both nations are preparing for future conflicts where digital coordination will be as decisive as physical strength. NATO officials recognize the significance of this evolution, especially as it reflects a broader pattern of non-Western military cooperation that could erode the long-held technological and doctrinal dominance the alliance once enjoyed. Another factor deepening NATO's anxiety is the psychological shift these exercises represent. Pakistan's growing comfort with Chinese systems and tactical philosophies suggests a willingness to pivot away from decades of Western dependency. This transition isn't happening in isolation. It's occurring at a moment when the global geopolitical balance is under strain, when Russia's assertiveness, China's global ambitions, and Western indecision are creating a vacuum of influence across key regions. Within that vacuum, partnerships like the Pakistan-China axis thrive, pragmatic, quiet, and purpose-driven. NATO understands that once such partnerships mature, they're difficult to counter or reverse because they're built not on ideology but on shared strategic utility. At a deeper level, NATO's analysts also know that these joint air operations are shaping perceptions across Asia. Other regional powers are watching, learning, and possibly reconsidering their own defense alignments. Pakistan's ability to integrate effectively with China's advanced air systems challenges long-standing assumptions about Western superiority in aerial coordination and precision warfare. It signals to smaller nations that alternative paths to modernization exist outside Western defense networks. The ripple effects of that message are powerful and potentially destabilizing for NATO's influence in regions it once dominated through military partnerships and arms diplomacy. The quiet intensity of NATO's scrutiny over these exercises reflects a dawning realization that global air power dynamics are no longer dictated from Brussels or Washington alone. Each Pakistan-China joint flight carries not just a strategic lesson, but a symbolic message that the world's skies are becoming increasingly contested, with new alliances shaping how power will be projected in the decades ahead. The emergence of the JF-17 Thunder as a central element of Pakistan and China's defense cooperation represents more than just the success of a joint aircraft program. It embodies a geopolitical statement that challenges the established hierarchy of global air power. For years, Western analysts viewed Pakistan's air capabilities through the lens of dependency, reliant on American-made F-16s, bound by U.S. export restrictions and limited by political constraints. The JF-17 changed that narrative. Co-developed by Pakistan Aeronautical Complex and China's Chengdu Aircraft Corporation, it symbolizes a remarkable transformation, a technologically capable, cost-effective and fully sovereign combat platform that allows Pakistan to assert both independence and innovation on the world stage. NATO's defense experts recognize this aircraft not merely as a machine, but as an instrument of strategic autonomy, and that is precisely what concerns them. The evolution of the JF-17 program has unfolded with remarkable speed and precision. From its early iterations to the advanced Block Roman III variant, the aircraft now integrates cutting-edge avionics, electronic warfare systems, and Chinese-developed radar technologies that rival those found in Western jets. This latest version features an active electronically scanned array radar, advanced data links, and long-range missile capabilities, effectively bridging the gap between fourth and fifth generation fighters. For Pakistan, the aircraft's value lies not just in its performance, but in what it represents: self-sufficiency. Unlike the politically restrictive F-16s, which remain subject to U.S. approval for upgrades and usage, the JF-17 can be produced, modified, and deployed entirely under Pakistan's discretion. That independence shifts the strategic equation dramatically, allowing Pakistan to make sovereign defense decisions without external vetoes. From NATO's perspective, the implications go far beyond technology. The JF-17 has become a cornerstone of the Pakistan-China partnership, facilitating shared research, industrial collaboration, and the exchange of tactical doctrines. Each stage of its development has deepened operational integration between the two nations. Chinese engineers work closely with Pakistani pilots, refining flight systems and optimizing combat performance based on real-world experience. This kind of partnership fosters not only technical expertise but mutual confidence, a trust that translates into the seamless cooperation seen during joint air exercises. NATO officials, long accustomed to Pakistan relying on Western engineering and maintenance infrastructure, now see a state capable of producing its own fleet with external support from a non-Western power. That independence represents a strategic shift that cannot be ignored. Beyond its domestic role, the JF-17 also carries global implications. Its affordability and adaptability have made it an attractive option for developing nations seeking modern air power without dependence on Western suppliers. This export potential expands China's influence across Asia, Africa, and the Middle East, positioning Beijing as a defense partner of choice for states often sidelined by Western military markets. Each export of the JF-17 strengthens China's soft power, enhances Pakistan's defense industry profile, and collectively weakens NATO's traditional monopoly over international arms supply chains. In short, every New Deal extends the geopolitical reach of this partnership far beyond the skies of South Asia. For Pakistan, the JF-17 is more than just an aircraft. It's a declaration of equality. It demonstrates that a nation once viewed as dependent can now stand on technological and industrial footing strong enough to challenge conventional expectations. For China, it's a diplomatic victory that showcases its growing capacity to empower allies through technology rather than treaties. For NATO, it's a troubling precedent, a reminder that the tools of influence are shifting. The JF-17's thunder is not just echoing across airfields. It's resonating through the corridors of global defense policymaking. It symbolizes a future where innovation, collaboration, and strategic independence could very well outmaneuver even the most established alliances. The quiet strategy behind the Pakistan-China military partnership has become one of the most intriguing developments in modern geopolitics. Unlike Western alliances, which often announce their cooperation through grand summits, defense pacts, and public statements, Beijing and Islamabad have chosen a path of deliberate subtlety. Their coordination in the realm of airpower has been carefully built, layer by layer, without drawing excessive media attention or diplomatic fanfare. It's a strategy rooted in pragmatism and long-term calculation, one that allows both nations to advance shared security objectives while avoiding unnecessary confrontation with the West. This discretion is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of sophistication. It reflects a shared understanding between Pakistan and China that real strategic shifts are best executed not with headlines, but with results. At the heart of this quiet approach lies a mutual recognition of opportunity. For China, Pakistan represents a gateway to the Indian Ocean and a vital component of its broader Belt and Road security framework. It offers geographical access and operational experience that complement Beijing's ambitions to extend its influence westward. For Pakistan, the partnership with China offers technological advancement, economic support, and military cooperation without the conditional politics often attached to Western assistance. This synergy is reinforced through trust, a trust built over decades of collaboration, refined through crises, and now manifesting in the skies through joint air exercises and technology sharing. NATO's strategists understand that this understated partnership has become far more consequential than any public alliance announcements would suggest. The strength of this quiet strategy lies in its ability to bypass traditional geopolitical scrutiny. Western alliances, particularly those under NATO, operate under intense public and political oversight. Every move is debated, every decision analyzed. The Pakistan-China axis, by contrast, advances under a shroud of discretion, where strategic planning is unencumbered by constant external pressure. Their air collaboration programs, ranging from pilot exchanges to joint simulation training, are rarely publicized but consistently deepened. The result is a steady buildup of interoperability and mutual readiness, achieved without provoking the kind of alarm that more visible alliances might generate. This slow, methodical progress gives both nations an advantage. They can prepare comprehensively while maintaining plausible deniability in the face of international inquiry. Moreover, this quiet cooperation aligns perfectly with China's broader diplomatic philosophy to expand influence through infrastructure, economics, and technology before asserting military presence. Pakistan has become an ideal testing ground for this model. Beijing's investment in Pakistan's defense industries and training institutions is not just about hardware, it's about shaping doctrine, enhancing local capability, and building an enduring network. Of mutual reliance, Islamabad, in turn, benefits from China's technological expertise and financial support, allowing its defense forces to modernize on their own terms. This level of independence represents a strategic triumph for Pakistan, which has historically been constrained by Western aid politics. For NATO observers, this creates an unsettling reality. A former Western ally is now evolving into a confident, autonomous partner in a rising Eastern Bloc, one that is mastering the art of power projection through subtlety. The understated nature of this partnership also makes it more resilient. By avoiding overt provocations or formal treaties, Pakistan and China shield their cooperation from immediate geopolitical backlash. Instead of announcing alliances, they demonstrate them through actions, joint exercises, shared technology, coordinated messaging. Each step strengthens their alignment while keeping global attention focused elsewhere. NATO's analysts recognize this for what it is, a long game. A quiet, deliberate transformation of regional military structures that, over time, could redefine the strategic balance not just in South Asia, but across the entire Indo-Pacific theater. The brilliance of this approach lies in its simplicity. Move steadily, speak little, and build strength in the silence. The West, long accustomed to overt diplomacy and declared partnerships, now faces a new kind of challenge, one that thrives not on confrontation but on quiet precision. The emerging multipolar air order represents one of the most profound shifts in global military balance since the end of the Cold War. For decades, air dominance was largely dictated by Western alliances led by NATO, powered by the United States, and supported by an ecosystem of European defense partners. That structure gave the West unparalleled control over aerial warfare doctrines, defense exports, and global influence. Yet, the growing cooperation between Pakistan and China has become a striking example of how that dominance is now being challenged. It marks a decisive turn toward a world where air power is no longer monopolized by a single bloc, but distributed among multiple rising powers, each capable of asserting its own strategic identity. The skies are no longer just Western territory. They have become an open arena where new players are proving that innovation, adaptability, and partnership can compete with decades of hegemony. Pakistan's evolving collaboration with China illustrates how this multipolar order is being built from the ground up, or rather, from the skies down. Through years of joint exercises, technology transfers, and coordinated training, the two nations have achieved a level of integration once thought exclusive to Western alliances. Their cooperation reflects a growing confidence among non-Western states to chart their own defense paths, free from the dependency that once defined them. NATO's analysts see this as more than a regional phenomenon. It's part of a broader recalibration of power where alliances are being redrawn, and air power is becoming the defining currency of influence. Each joint flight between Chinese and Pakistani pilots represents not just tactical cooperation, but a symbolic challenge to the old order that dictated who could project power and who could not. This emerging order carries implications far beyond the technical realm of military aviation. It is fundamentally about influence and legitimacy. When nations like Pakistan demonstrate that they can independently develop, operate, and integrate advanced air systems outside of Western supervision, they send a powerful message to the rest of the world that capability is no longer the preserve of a few. Smaller and mid-level powers, observing this model, are realizing they too can bypass Western dependency by forming partnerships that suit their strategic interests. This redistribution of power creates an atmosphere of competition that NATO cannot ignore. It forces Western defense institutions to reassess not only their technology strategies, but also their diplomatic approach toward emerging allies who no longer see Western approval as a prerequisite for progress. The implications of this shift extend deeply into the psychology of global defense. The West, long accustomed to defining the rules of engagement, now faces a reality where its doctrines are being studied, adapted, and even improved upon by other states. The Pakistan-China model of cooperation embodies efficiency, cost-effective development, shared risk, and flexible doctrine, in contrast to the bureaucracy and political constraints that often slow Western defense projects. The result is a more agile, adaptive, and forward-looking partnership that reflects the nature of modern warfare. NATO's concern is not simply that these alliances exist, but that they are succeeding. The silent shift, as many have come to call it, is quietly redefining what military excellence looks like in the 21st century. In this unfolding reality, the traditional markers of power, wealth, alliances, and political reach are giving way to a new standard based on innovation and adaptability. The East is no longer content with imitation, it is setting its own benchmarks. The skies that once symbolized Western superiority now reflect diversity, complexity, and competition. Pakistan and China have shown that cooperation built on shared interests rather than ideological alignment can be just as potent, if not more effective. As this multipolar air order takes shape, the West finds itself confronted not by open hostility, but by a calm, calculated challenge, one conducted with precision, patience, and quiet confidence. The balance of power is no longer shifting with noise and confrontation. It is changing through subtle strategy, intelligent partnership, and an unwavering understanding that in modern warfare, control of the skies means control of the future.